Everybody keeps saying the Oklahoma City Thunder are going to win the championship. And I need you to stop for a second, because nobody is asking the one question that actually matters. What happens when the pressure gets so loud you can't even hear yourself think? That's the real story here. Not the wins, not the highlights, not the MVP chants or the sellout crowds or the analysts falling over themselves to crown a team that hasn't won anything yet. The real story is about what the NBA playoffs reveal about a team and what they might be revealing right now about the Oklahoma City Thunder. Because here's the thing, and I want you to hold this thought for the entire video. The Thunder have done everything right, almost perfectly. The regular season was historic. The first round was a demolition. And yet, if you look closely, really closely, there are cracks. Hairline fractures that no one wants to talk about. And in the NBA playoffs, hairline fractures become fault lines. So today, we're going all the way in. We're going to talk about where this team came from, what they built, why everyone believes in them, and then, right when you're ready to hit that subscribe button and go buy a Thunder jersey, we're going to hit you with a problem. The one nobody on ESPN is willing to say out loud. This is the NBA playoffs. And the Oklahoma City Thunder might have a problem. Let's go. Think back a few years. Think about what Oklahoma City basketball looked like when they were losing on purpose, when they were a lottery team, when the only thing that sold tickets in that building was hope. Not the kind of hope built on wins, but the stubborn, irrational kind. The kind that says, just wait, just wait. Well, people waited. And Sam Presti, the quiet, methodical architect who runs a Thunder front office, he was playing a game that most NBA executives don't have the patience for. He was playing chess while everyone else was playing checkers. Trading veterans for picks. Trading picks for more picks. Stockpiling futures like a doomsday prepper. Except instead of canned food, he was collecting first-round draft selections. And it worked. It worked in a way that almost feels unfair to the rest of the league. Because while other teams were trading away their futures to chase one more year with an aging superstar, Oklahoma City was quietly building something different, something sustainable, something that, when it finally arrived, hit the league like a freight train wearing a jersey. 64 wins. 64 wins during the regular season. Let that sit with you. In a Western Conference that had Denver, that had San Antonio, that had the Lakers and the Rockets in Minnesota, 64 wins. The best record in the entire NBA. Not just the West, the entire league. The number one seed. Home court advantage for as long as they stay alive. And the centerpiece of all of it, the reason everyone keeps showing up, the reason this team is real and not just a projection, is a kid who grew up in a small town, got drafted when nobody was fully paying attention, and somehow became the most terrifying force in the Western Conference playoffs. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. People call him SGA, but at this point, calling him just SA feels like calling the ocean some water. The man is a problem. He moves through NBA defenses like he's gliding on something smoother than hardwood. He has this silky, unhurried quality in the way he plays. Like everything is easy, like he woke up this morning and decided to embarrass professional basketball players for a living. His scoring, his playmaking, the way he draws fouls, the way he reads the floor. Every single thing about how he plays basketball is advanced. And surrounding him, a roster built like a Swiss watch. Every piece fitting exactly where it belongs. Jalen Williams, Chet Holmgren, the 7'1" ghost who blocks shots and hits threes. Isaiah Hartenstein anchoring the paint. A bench that doesn't let up. A coaching staff under Mark Daigneault that plays tight, disciplined, suffocating defense while simultaneously running one of the most efficient offenses in the league. This isn't a team that got lucky. This is a team that was built meticulously, almost lovingly. And this is why the whole basketball world looked at the 2026 NBA playoffs and said, yeah, it's their time. But here's the first thing I want you to notice, and this is important. Every team that has ever been their time, every team that rolled into the playoffs with the best record, the best player, the best system, they all had something in common. They all had to be tested. Not by the teams they expected to be tested by. Not in a game 3 against an opponent everyone knew would give them trouble. But tested in the moments they didn't see coming. The The moments that crack the blueprint open and reveal what's actually underneath. The Thunder's moment is coming, and the question is whether they're ready for it. Let's talk about what just happened in the first round, because on the surface, it looks incredible. Oklahoma City versus the Phoenix Suns. The 1 seed against the 8 seed. The matchup everyone expected to be a sweep or close to it, and it was for games. OKC wins the series 4-0. Game 1, Thunder 119, Suns 84. That's not a basketball score. That's an embarrassment. That's one team walking onto the court and the other team forgetting how to play the game they've been playing their entire lives. Game 2, 120-107. Still dominant. Still clinical. Game 3, in Phoenix, on the road, where the crowd is hostile and the environment should theoretically matter. 121-109. The Thunder don't blink. Game 4, 131-122. A little closer, sure, but Oklahoma City closes it out anyway. 4-0. Series over. Pack your bags, Phoenix. Now here's where most people stop. They see 4-0 and they say, yeah, that's a championship team doing championship things. But I want you to look at something else. I want you to look at who they beat. The Phoenix Suns were a mess this season. They finished with 45 wins and 37 losses. They scraped into the playoffs as the 8 seed. They weren't healthy. They weren't cohesive. They were a collection of talented players who never quite figured out how to be a team. And Oklahoma City dismantled them. Easily. But easily against the Suns doesn't tell you what you need to know for what's coming next. Because what's coming next is the Los Angeles Lakers. The Lakers are coming, and this is where it gets real. Hold on. Let's pause right here. Because this is the moment in the video where the temperature changes. The Lakers. The Los Angeles Lakers. 53 wins and 29 losses. The 4th seed in the Western Conference. And if you watched their first round series against the Houston Rockets, you saw something that should make Thunder fans at least a little nervous. The Lakers didn't just win their first round series. They won it 4-2. They found their rhythm. They found their identity. And LeBron James, a man who has been playing playoff basketball since some of the Thunder's young players were in elementary school, looked locked in, focused, like a predator who just got warmed up. Let's be completely honest about what the Lakers bring to this series. Experience. They have playoff experience that the Thunder, as talented as they are, simply don't have yet. When you're 22 years old and it's Game 6 and the building is shaking and the moment is enormous, you can train for it. You can visualize it. You can watch film until 3 a.m, but you cannot simulate it. You cannot truly prepare for the weight of it until you felt it. The Thunder are a young team. Brilliantly constructed and brilliantly coached, but young. And the Lakers are not. The Lakers have been in this fire before, multiple times. The Lakers have a player on their roster who has won 4 championships and knows exactly how to slow a series down, how to manipulate tempo, how to get in a young team's head, and make them play their second-best game instead of their best. Game 1 of the second round series starts May 6, OKC at home, and the win probability right now has the Thunder at 90.9%, over 90%, which sounds amazing, until you remember that win probability is a number that only exists before the game is played. It doesn't know what happens when the building goes quiet because OKC missed 4 straight shots in the 4th quarter. It doesn't know what happens when LeBron starts talking. Not trash talk. LeBron doesn't need to trash talk. I mean the calculated, psychological kind of talking. The veteran presence that makes young players second-guess themselves at exactly the wrong moment. The win probability doesn't know any of that. And this, right here, is where we start to unpack the Thunder's real problem. The real problem, and it's not what you think. Okay, I've been building to this. And I want to be careful here, because I'm not saying the Oklahoma City Thunder are going to lose. I'm not making a prediction. What I'm doing is pointing at something real, something structural, that the playoff stage tend to expose. The Thunder's problem is not their talent. Their talent is elite. The Thunder's problem is not their coaching. Mark Daigneault is one of the best coaches in the league. The Thunder's problem is not their depth or their defense or their three-point shooting or any of the measurable things that get analyzed on sports shows every morning. The Thunder's problem is a thing that can't be measured until it's tested. It's the moment. Let me explain what I mean by that. In the regular season, the Thunder were almost perfectly consistent. 64 wins. That means they lost 18 times over 82 games. 18 times out of 82. They lost to Denver. They lost to Phoenix. The same Phoenix team, they just swept. They had stretches where the machine hummed and stretches where it sputtered. But here's the difference between the regular season and the playoffs. In the regular season, when you have a bad game, you lose one game. It goes in the column, and you move on. You play again tomorrow or the day after. The season is long. There's time to breathe, reset, recalibrate. In the playoffs, when you have a bad game, you lose a game in a series where you only get 7. Every single game is enormous. Every single possession carries weight that doesn't exist in November. The margin for error shrinks from this wide to this thin. And the Thunder, despite being the number 1 seed, despite their historic regular season, are a team that has not been tested in the deepest, most suffocating moments of playoff basketball. Not yet. Think about the last time this happened. Think about teams that dominated the regular season and then ran into the wall. The 2015-16 Golden State Warriors went 73-9, 73 wins, and they lost the championship to Cleveland because LeBron James and Kyrie Irving found something extra in the moments that mattered most. The Warriors were the best team in the league. They still lost. The 2019-20 Milwaukee Bucks had the best record in the league. They got swept by the Miami Heat in the second round. Gone. Done. Eliminated before anyone even expected it. Being the best team in the regular season doesn't protect you. It just means you had more time to feel safe before the real test began. Now, I want to be fair. I want to give the Thunder everything they deserve, because what they built is legitimately special. And SGA is legitimately capable of being a player who takes over a series and makes everything else irrelevant. But that's the other part of the problem. The SGA question. What happens when the defense comes for you? Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is the best player on this team by a significant margin. And in the regular season, that's fine. That's great. Even because the regular season is a marathon and you want your best player to be consistently excellent over the long run. But in the playoffs, when a team is preparing a game plan specifically designed to slow you down, specifically designed to take away what you do best, being the best player doesn't automatically protect you. It makes you the target. Every team the Thunder face from here forward, the Lakers now, and whoever comes after, has spent hundreds of hours studying SGA. They know his left-hand tendencies. They know when he likes to pull up versus attack the rim. They know his step-back spots. They know which fouls he hunts and how he draws them. They know his preferred angles and his decision-making patterns in pick-and-roll situations. And then they build a defense around all of that information. The question becomes, what does SGA do when the defense takes away his first option? His second option? What does he do when the double team comes earlier than expected and the help defense is perfectly positioned? Because here's the thing about truly elite playoff performers, the ones who win championships. They don't just have one answer. They have 3. They have 4. When the defense takes away the step back 3, they attack the rim. When the rim is packed, they find the open man. When the help rotates, they reset the play, slow everything down, and make the defense choose again. The question with SGA right now, in these playoffs, is not whether he's talented enough. He absolutely is. The question is whether he has enough playoff reps, enough pressure-tested moments, to have those multiple answers locked in when the moment demands them. Because there's a difference between knowing what to do and being able to do it when the arena is shaking and every possession matters and the series is on the line. That's not a criticism of Shai. It's just the truth about what the playoffs demand. And it's the question that nobody wants to sit with because the answer isn't available yet. The answer only comes when the moment arrives. What happened in the losses and why it matters. Here's something that almost everyone glossed over during the Thunder's regular season. They lost to Denver 127-107. They lost to Phoenix. Yes, Phoenix, the same team they just swept, 135 to 103. Two of the most lopsided losses of their season came against teams in the West. And while one loss to Phoenix feels fine in retrospect, the nature of those losses matters. It wasn't close. It wasn't a one-possession game that could have gone either way. They got handled. Now, every team has bad nights. Every team has games where nothing clicks, and the other team just has your number. That's basketball. It happens to every team, including the very best ones. But those losses tell a story about what the Thunder look like when they're not functioning at peak capacity. And in the playoffs, against a team that has specifically prepared to disrupt your rhythm, you're going to have stretches where you're not at peak capacity. The question is whether you're built to survive those stretches. The Lakers dealt the Thunder one of those moments during the regular season. OKC went into LA and got dominated, 87 to 123. That's a 36-point loss. The Lakers walked through them. Now, and this is important, the Thunder then went to LA again and won 123 to 87. Same building, same team, exact same score, just reversed, which tells you something fascinating about what this Thunder team is capable of. They can bounce back. They can respond. They have pride and they have talent, and they do not stay down. But the bounce back happened in the regular season, where a loss is just a loss, and the next game is a clean slate. What happens when the Lakers beat them in game one of the second-round series, which is possible no matter what the win probability says, and the Thunder have to go into game two carrying that weight? What happens when the series is tied? What happens if the Lakers steal a game in Oklahoma City and OKC suddenly has to win two of the next three on the road? Those are scenarios that test a team's character, not their talent, not their system, their character, their ability to stay composed and trust each other and keep playing their game when every instinct is screaming panic. And the Thunder have never been there before. Not in the 2026 playoffs. Not like this. The coaching chess match, Daigneault versus a field. Let's talk about the coaching angle because I think it's underappreciated in most conversations about the Thunder. Mark Daigneault is really good at his job. I want to be clear about that because it matters. He's not just good at managing rotations and calling timeouts. He's good at building systems. He's good at developing young players. He's good at in-game adjustments. And he's good at creating a culture, a genuine, tangible team culture that makes everyone on the roster better. The fact that this team has 20-somethings playing with the composure of veterans is not an accident. It is a direct result of the environment Daigneault has created. That's real. That's coaching. But here's the chess match question. Every coach in the NBA playoffs is trying to find the adjustment that breaks the other team, the wrinkle in the defense, the lineup change that creates a mismatch, the offensive action that the other team hasn't solved yet. Every series is a puzzle, and the coaching staff that solves it faster or breaks the other team's solution faster has a massive advantage. Daigneault has been excellent at adjustments throughout the season. The Thunder showed in the first round against Phoenix. They didn't just win. They won by making Phoenix look completely lost. That's a coaching advantage. But the Lakers' coaching staff has been in high-leverage playoff situations many times before. They have institutional knowledge that only comes from experience. And while Daigneault is absolutely capable of matching any coach in the league strategically, the experience gap at the coaching level is real and compounds with the experience gap at the player level. In a 7-game series that goes deep, adjustments become the whole game, and the team that out-adjusts the other team usually wins. The moment that would define this season. Somewhere in this series, and I genuinely believe this, there is going to be a moment that defines not just the Lakers-Thunder series, but potentially the entire arc of this Oklahoma City team story. It might be a game-tying shot with 30 seconds left in a Game 5 that OKC is down 3-2. It might be a fourth-quarter defensive stop that prevents the Lakers from taking a series lead. It might be SGA going absolutely nuclear in a must-win game and putting the entire basketball world on notice. Or it might be the other kind of moment, the kind where you see a young team look a little too wide-eyed, play a little too tight, feel the weight of the moment in a way that makes everything look slightly off. A series of turnovers late in a game they needed to win. A stretch of missed free throws with the clock winding down. A fourth quarter where the veteran team just knows something the young team doesn't know yet. That moment is coming. And when it arrives, it will tell us everything we need to know about the Oklahoma City Thunder. Not just about this season, about the next 5 years, about whether this dynasty in the making is real, or whether they need one more year in the fire before they're ready. Because here's what I keep coming back to. The great championship teams, the ones who actually win it all, they almost always have the moment, the defining crucible that forges them. The 2011 Dallas Mavericks had to lose to Miami first in 2006 before they knew what it took to win. The 2019 Toronto Raptors, the only Canadian team to ever win a championship, spent years losing in the second round before everything clicked. Even the Warriors, in their dynasty years, had the 2016 collapse to wake them up and make them hungrier than ever. The Thunder might be in that year right now. The year where they go deep, deeper than people expected, maybe all the way to the conference finals or beyond, and something happens. Something that teaches them the final lesson. The lesson that can't be drawn on a whiteboard or taught in a practice gym. Or, and this is equally possible, they skip that lesson entirely. They go through this whole gauntlet without blinking, and they win the championship on the first try. And 30 years from now, people will talk about the 2026 Oklahoma City Thunder the way they talk about dynasties. It could go either way. That's what makes it so compelling. That's what makes every game from here feel like required viewing. The Western Conference picture, and the shadow in the background. Let's zoom out for a second. Because the Thunder don't just have a Lakers problem. If they get past the Lakers, they have a problem waiting on the other side. Minnesota, the 6th seed. The team that just knocked out Denver, the 3rd seed, in the first round. The Timberwolves with Anthony Edwards, who is 24 years old, plays with zero fear, and has a personality that is so loud and so magnetic that he drags games into his orbit just by showing up. Edwards is a problem. A genuine, legitimate, not going away problem for any team in the Western Conference. He doesn't look up at anyone. Not at SGA. Not at the Thunder's championship pedigree. Not at home court advantage. He just plays. And then there's San Antonio, the 2 seed with 62 wins. Victor Wembanyama, the generational talent. The 7'4" alien who blocks shots that physics says shouldn't be blocked and scores from spots that shouldn't be open, is playing in his 2nd year. Last year was a learning curve. This year, San Antonio finished with 62 wins and looks scary in their first-round series. If the path to the championship goes through Minnesota and then through San Antonio, the Thunder will have needed to beat 3 teams in a row who each have something that could genuinely give them trouble. That's a gauntlet. That's the Western Conference in 2026. And it is brutal what the Thunder have going for them and why they might shock everyone. Okay, I've spent a lot of time on the concerns, on the questions, on the challenges. And I did that intentionally because those things are real and they deserve to be taken seriously. But now let's talk about why the Oklahoma City Thunder are genuinely terrifying. First, the defense. This Thunder team plays defense at an elite level. Not just good. Elite. They make teams uncomfortable. They move their feet. They rotate intelligently. They communicate constantly. And they do it at both ends of the floor simultaneously, which is genuinely rare at this level. When you're a team that plays great defense in playoffs, you give yourself a chance in every single game. Defense is more consistent than offense. Offense goes cold. Shooting streaks end. Perimeter shooting dries up in the 4th quarter of big games all the time. But a defensive identity, a genuine, committed, deeply ingrained defensive culture, that stays. That travels to road games. That shows up when the arena is hostile and the shots aren't falling. Second, the depth. The Thunder are not a one-man team. They are not built around SGA the way, say, a Durant-era team was built around Durant. They have multiple players who can hurt you. Jalen Williams can score 30. Chet Holmgren can change a game with his rim protection. Isaiah Hartenstein is a load in the post. The bench players aren't just fillers. They can contribute. That depth matters in a long series. It matters in a 7-game series where the opponent has studied your starting lineup and built a game plan around stopping your top 2 or 3 guys. When your 4th option on a given night can give you 20 points, you're hard to defend. Third, the home court. Paycom Center in Oklahoma City is one of the loudest, most electric arenas in the NBA right now. That crowd believes in this team. They've been waiting for this moment for years. The energy inside that building during a playoff game, especially a high-stakes playoff game, is a genuine advantage. Home court in the NBA playoffs is real. Historically, home teams win significantly more games than road teams in playoff series. The Thunder have home court through potentially the entire Western Conference bracket. That is not a small thing. Fourth, and maybe most importantly, Shai. When everything else is said and analyzed, when all the chess pieces have been moved around the board and the pressure has reached its absolute peak, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander has shown again and again that he can take over, that he can be the answer, that whatever the defense tries to do to stop him, he finds a way. In the first round, he was surgical, not flashy, not trying to make highlight plays, just ruthlessly efficient, attacking the right spots, making the right decisions, playing like someone who has internalized the system so deeply that the game slows down for him even when it's moving at full speed. That quality, that ability to slow the moment down and find the right play, is what separates good players from great players. And it's what makes SGA genuinely capable of being the one who leads his team through the fire. Chapter 11. The history they're chasing and the weight of it. Here's a piece of history that I think about when I watch this Thunder team. The last time Oklahoma City went to the NBA Finals was 2012. Kevin Durant, Russell Westbrook, James Harden, all on the same team. 23-year-old KD playing like a force of nature, Westbrook bringing the electricity, Harden coming off the bench before anyone realized he was a future scoring champion. They lost to the Miami Heat. LeBron James and Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh. They lost in 5 games, and it wasn't particularly close. And then very quickly, it all fell apart. Harden was traded. Westbrook eventually left. Durant left for Golden State in one of the most debated decisions in NBA history. The window that felt so wide open slammed shut. Oklahoma City has been rebuilding ever since. They've watched other cities celebrate championships. They've watched their players leave. They watched free agents choose other markets. And through all of it, through all the losing and the rebuilding and the patience, the city of Oklahoma City stayed. They showed up. They believed. This current team is the payoff on that belief. And the people in that city know it. They feel it every time SGA catches the ball at the top of the arc and the whole building leans forward. They feel it in the way they talk about this team at restaurants and barbershops and school parking lots. There's a weight of history on this team. Not just their own history, but the history of a fan base that has been waiting since 2012 for something real to believe in again. That weight can be a burden, or it can be rocket fuel. The Thunder have shown every sign of using it as rocket fuel. And if they can carry that energy through the second round, through the Lakers and whatever comes after, then we might be watching the beginning of something that the NBA hasn't seen in a long time. A true dynasty in a small market, built the right way, from the ground up, by people who were willing to wait. The question you have to answer. So here's where we land. Here's the real question. The Oklahoma City Thunder are the best team in the NBA on paper. They have the best record. They have the best young star. They have the coaching. They have the defense. They have the depth. They have the home court. And they also have a problem. The problem is not any one player on the other team. The problem is not LeBron James, though he is absolutely a factor. The problem is not Victor Wembanyama somewhere down the road, though he will be a factor if it comes to that. The problem is the moment itself. The moment that every team has to face eventually, where you find out what you're actually made of, where the talent gets stripped away and what's left is just character, just the will to win under impossible pressure. Just the ability to look at the most overwhelming moment you've ever been in and make the right play. The Oklahoma City Thunder have not been in that moment yet. They've been close to it. They've tasted it, but they have not been baptized in it. And the 2026 NBA playoffs are going to find that moment. They are going to manufacture it. Because the playoffs always do. That's what the playoffs are for. When that moment comes, one of two things will happen. Either the Thunder will rise to meet it, and the answer will be so overwhelming and so decisive that we'll all know immediately that this team is different, that this team was made for this, that the wait was worth it, and the dynasty is real. Or the moment will win. And Oklahoma City will learn the lesson that has to be learned. The lesson that comes before the championship. not with it. Either way, what we are watching right now is something genuinely special. A young team, a brilliant front office, a city that never stopped believing, a star player who might be on the verge of proving himself as one of the best in the game, a structure that is built not just for this year, but for the next decade. This Thunder team is not just playing for a championship. They are playing for a legacy. They are playing for the right to be remembered. And if you are watching these playoffs and you are not locked into what's happening in Oklahoma City, you are missing it. You are missing one of the most compelling stories the NBA has told in years. Watch the games. Watch SGA. Watch Mark Daigneault's face when the game is on the line and he has to decide. Watch the crowd when the moment gets big and see if the building lifts the team or if the team has to lift itself. Watch for the moment because it's coming. And when it gets here, the whole world will know whether the NBA's biggest problem, the unstoppable machine that is the Oklahoma City Thunder, is ready to be a champion, or whether they need to wait just a little bit longer. Either way, this is the best story in basketball right now, and we are right in the middle of it.